spider can. Spins a web any size. Catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time.
I like make one, and it's like Into the Spider-Verse, and then
I've
it's
got
like
that glitchy effect.
yeah, you can have you as like Miles Morales for Into the Spider-Verse, me as Peter Parker, and then every other face just says redacted.
Yeah. I could do that. Would be brilliant.
Hey guys,
we get to
Spider-Man.
Kingpin and it's Dave.
Spider-Man.
So, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking Trash with Team Venom. Just so you know, I'm not cutting that shit out.
That was brilliant.
That's something that we've stuck by on many of these before.
Yeah, look, this is the beauty of talking trash with Team Venom things we do now, is that, like, believe it or not, we be a little professional elsewhere, not here. So we leave that.
No fine. Filters.
Yeah,
just go to town.
It's right. So. We'll just.
So yeah. So our subject for this episode is Spider-Man No Way Home. And the Avengers. No, Spider-Man No Way Home. What we thought of the movie. Spoiler alert. Great. You know what? Well, let's just wrap it up. I've been Rory. He's been Connor. Speaking of which, one thing that I know we've not even got to this point because I've not even done the fucking intro. One thing I really liked about that film was that Tobey Maguire actually has the proper spoiler alert, has the proper thwip sound from the old movies. It's just like, yes. By the way, if you haven't watched the film yet, sorry.
Oh,
what you should have done.
Why have you clicked on this?
Yeah, I know, that's true.
Clicked on this. Fuck you. You deserve it, okay?
That is true.
It says No Way Home. Probably got in brackets spoilers in the title.
Oh, I'm not spoilers in the title. But yeah. So obviously we've both been to see it as soon as we possibly could. Then we've had Christmas and stuff like that, and we've given people a bit of breathing room to be able to actually watch the fucking thing, so that we're not limiting who can see this video. Because obviously, for the first week or so, it's a case of no one should be spoiling it for anybody else because it is such a great film. But we've hit that point now where we can happily spoil this shit for anyone that wants to watch this video. So yeah. First thoughts then. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm your host Rory Bailey, joined with Connor Franks, the favourite. So
I am. I think it's either tied or just beats Endgame as the best MCU film. Yeah,
which is pretty much how the box office has reacted as well.
Yeah, it's literally phenomenal. Like, there's obviously the nostalgia and the rumors forever of Toby and Andrew being in it, but even if they weren't in it, up until they came into it, it was still phenomenal.
Yes, yeah.
If it was just a standalone Spider-Man film, it would have still been phenomenal.
Yeah,
having Toby and Andrew in it just made it perfect.
I think one of the things for me that shows how great the film is, I saw it on the Saturday. I think it got released over here on the Friday or Thursday. I saw it Saturday because that was the only time I could book in to see it, and took my lad. And we both enjoyed it that much that when it got to like tea time on the Sunday, I was like, look, it's nearly your bedtime. And he was like, yeah, but I'm looking on your phone, Dad, and there's a Spider-Man showing in 25 minutes. And we could totally walk to that cinema from here. I was like, all right, okay, yeah, get your coat. So we went and saw it the very next day and still loved it. So, because there's, like you say, there's the nostalgia thing on there. So there's an element of, did I think it was really great because of it encompassing all the stuff that I loved about the previous films? Hell yeah, I did think that. But I also thought it was just a generally great film. And my son rarely sits through an entire film, let alone one that's 2.5 hours long. So the fact that he sat through it twice willingly that weekend, and he's currently there while we're recording this because he's gone to see it again for the third time at the cinema. He's gone with my mum to go and see it. which is awesome. That little Rory Jr. is just like, no, I want to see Spider-Man today. That's my plan. But yeah, I think that just goes to show how great of a movie it is. So yeah.
Before we deep dive, I just want to put this out there because I don't really see anyone mention it. Can we just say props to Willem Dafoe for A, demanding he does his own stunts?
Yeah.
And for 2, hitting a Batista bomb and spine buster on Spider-Man that broke through like 25 floors. Because they were full on, like full wrestling. It wasn't just like when The Rock does a fight scene and he does a little slam that looks like his finisher. He was like, nah, fuck you, Batista.
We went full out with that spine buster, yeah.
He did.
I mean, and the power bomb.
Literally.
The fact that he got a fucking power bomb in that film.
Yeah, I was like, it was full on as well. Like, it wasn't just like, we watched wrestling and he had him on his shoulders and dropped him. That's like a power. No, he power bombed.
I love the other thing about the Willem Dafoe connection that I absolutely love. So more props to him is that he insisted on his role being more than a glorified cameo. Yep. He literally said, "I'm only going to come back if I." But he hasn't said what the terms were. But apparently, he had a list of demands for what it'd take him to do. What it would take for him to be that character again. And essentially, he's ended up being probably, and rightfully, like the best villain in all of the Spider-Man franchises by default.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah.
Whatever.
If we were doing that head-to-head and we tried to do that, it wouldn't happen.
Go watch the Team Venom.
The Team Venom comic show when it comes out.
Yeah. We did a head-to-head where we're meant to argue, and
it didn't happen. Yeah.
We have nothing to argue over, so it's down to the comments, really.
Yeah. But yeah, the show was fantastic. I remember being sat in the cinema on the first viewing, and just that bit where you got him on the bridge and everything, and he was just full Green Goblin mode. But then the next time you see him, when he's in the alley talking to the mask and going like full on cowardly Norman sort of shtick, and which I just thought, that's fucking great. I was sat there, I did genuinely have like a wave of nostalgia, like, I remember him doing this shit. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
And
although, when he goes into the homeless shelter and he's doing like the deranged homeless guy.
Yeah.
We do find out Oscorp doesn't exist in Tom Holland's universe.
Sort of, but I also found something out that they did before. This is promotional material. There was like a copy of the Daily Bugle that they did in comic shops, and it's done as if it's been done for No Way Home, which obviously doesn't work because Daily Bugle's a website, aren't there? So it's still, doesn't really hold up. But they refer to Norman Osborn as a disgraced former CEO of a major company. So they don't say what the company is or anything like
Amazon.
That. So, yeah. But I mean, that could be enough of a hint to go, Norman Osborn exists in the MCU and it's Willem Dafoe because they all know who he is. But Oscorp doesn't exist because he fucking ran that into the ground 10 years ago or something.
Maybe.
Which could work, to be fair. But, yeah. It's just the thing of obviously, I think we had this conversation before where you were saying that if Willem Dafoe popped up as the Green Goblin in the MCU, Peter's going to instantly be like, I ain't fucking sticking around for this shit to kick off. Web, punch in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Although,
yeah.
If we were to get Norman and what's his? I've drawn a blank. What's his child called?
Harry.
Thank you. I drew a complete blank there. If we were to get Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn in Tom Holland's universe,
yeah,
Matthew McConaughey,
yeah,
and that kid from Stranger Things, can't remember his name.
Finn Wolfhard, the one that's in everything, like Ghostbusters and It and stuff.
Yeah.
To be fair. He'd make a good Harry Osborn. The right sort of age and everything, yeah.
Even if we just have
because Peter needs new friends.
Yeah, he does. He literally does.
He's got none at the moment, which is how the movie's planned out. So obviously, we touched on bits and pieces of the plot. For the benefit of those that have been living under a rock and haven't gone to see it yet, basically, because of Peter's identity being out to the public, they have this whole thing of Peter, Ned, and MJ are all unable to get into college because of the controversy around Spider-Man and Mysterio's death. We then have Peter go to see Doctor Strange to try and get a spell to make everyone forget who he is. And then because he keeps fanning around with the spell while Strange has casted it, all kinds of shit kicks off, and villains and what we'd later find out as heroes that know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man get pulled through, which is basically that's a very simplified version of the plot. So, because then it's containment for the remainder of the film.
Also, you know when Doctor Strange is doing his little spell, and Peter keeps changing it.
You're going to say about the Easter eggs?
That's what, well, but Doctor Strange is doing the spell, not the one at the end, but like the one when he's actually doing the spell to make people forget. He's like, he goes to shit and he's like, I had to contain it because you made me change it 6 times. You know, for the exception of, well, MJ needs to know who I am, blah, blah, blah. Peter only changed it 5 times.
I know, that's what he says.
So Doctor Strange did it an extra time, so he didn't forget.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah. But by the end of the film, he has, because everyone has to forget in order for it to work, because of the borders of reality collapsing in. And we see some really kick-ass Easter eggs. We get to see Rhino, and it's the Rhino you like.
It is.
not the terrible Alexis Savage version.
Yeah, it's not good.
No doubt, obviously that's the name of the original character, but that was the voice of the terrible version.
Yeah, we got to see Giant Rhino, which is actual Rhino. We got to see
Scorpion.
We got to see Scorpion, which is great.
I'm sure there were so many other characters in there, but they were the ones that were most focused and such.
Excuse me.
I think I saw a Black Cat sort of character.
Yes. Also, if for now, I feel like Tom Holland's going to be happy to stay as Spider-Man because he's not glued to that role. Yeah. Like if you think Tom Holland, you don't go, oh, he's only in Spider-Man because he's doing the Uncharted film, which is coming out. Yeah. And I think he's contracted like 3 other not random, but you know what I mean, like non-MCU related films. Yeah. So he's clearly doing well in Hollywood while still being Spider-Man. And normally when actors want to give up a set role when they're typecast as that. Yeah. Which is why, like Daniel Radcliffe, for example.
Mark Hamill in the 70s.
Exactly. But Tom Holland doesn't seem to have that problem in Hollywood right now. So I think we could just keep getting, and he's very young, which means we could just keep getting MCU. He loves the character. Yeah. So we could keep getting Spider-Man films. For whatever the next Spider-Man film is, when MJ don't know who he is, etc. Yeah. Black Cat would be the perfect romantic interest for him.
Yes. Because you had no interest in Peter Parker.
No.
At first, anyway, and then obviously that changes over time. But she was originally more attracted to the spider costume than to the guy inside it.
Exactly.
So, plus in the comics, when they do the One More Day thing, where they basically do the same thing, for a while, him and Black Cat just start hooking up, and they have to keep the masks on. Comics.
It could literally be done where during the film you can have him being interested in both Black Cat and MJ. Yeah. And then towards the end, whenever he realizes he loves MJ, it's because he realizes Black Cat only wants Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. And also, speaking of MJ, the end credit thing when she's serving the coffee and getting really weeded out by how creepy he is, she's still wearing the broken Black Dahlia.
Yeah, and she's still got the tape on her head as well.
Oh yeah, but that was because it was like 2 days ago when she got a cut.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Black Dahlia that Peter gave her, she still woke up in that morning and was like, I need to wear this.
But I mean, it's like it's showing that absolutely everything before the film, before that thing happened, still happened. It's the rules that they're setting out with that one scene. So it's apart from the fact that they just don't remember him, which I mean, if it's it's one of those weird things. So she'll probably have a sense of importance about it, but not know why or something like that, which is cool. Yeah. So and one of the theories that we were floating around as well, because we got to talk about potential stuff that happens. We got a fucking great post-credit scene with Tom Hardy, because Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene showed Tom Hardy waking up in the MCU and seeing Tom Holland's Spider-Man on the news unmasked and all this, and
he looks
Venom,
tasty.
yeah, basically, and they did the whole thing. So they teased that Venom was going to be in the movie, and he's not at all until you get to the post-credit scene. And the post-credit scene is just that he's still in the same resort that he woke up in at the end of the Let There Be Carnage movie. And he's just got very, very drunk while trying to work out what the hell's going on with everything.
Very confused.
Yeah, because so we get to see Tom Hardy ripping into Iron Man and Thanos and stuff like that, while Venom is genuinely just going, Eddie, we are drunk, sit down, and stuff like that. And it's wonderful. But the cool thing we get is he gets zapped back to his own universe while he's staggering around, and he leaves a remnant of the symbiote, which you then see is still moving around. And I say remnant, it's blatantly a spawn of the symbiote, which in Let There Be Carnage, that's what infects Carnage. So we've seen, like, in how those Venom films are set up, a little tiny bit of the Venom symbiote created Carnage. So the same thing could happen here. So we've got our MCU Venom coming, basically, which is going to be pretty damn sweet.
It is. And I love that Venom's introduction to MCU is Venom
drunk.
being the voice. No, Tom Hardy's drunk. Venom's introduction is this alien symbiote being the voice of reason.
Yes, that is awesome. So, yeah. And we get the thing of, obviously, from there, we've got the potential for many different things to happen with that symbiote. Obviously, Tom Holland getting it, so we get the symbiote Spider-Man suit for a while, potentially.
This
there was
is
the
something
thing
else.
There was the thing that I was saying to you earlier as well before we were doing this, that one of the ideas that I actually would like to see is it find Ned Leeds. Purely because obviously Ned's been very proud of being the guy in the chair for the last 3 films, and obviously his involvement with his very brief involvement with in Infinity War and all that stuff as well to help him out. But it's that thing of he's Spider-Man's best friend, Peter Parker's best friend, and all those memories have been taken from him. And it was like one of the most important things about his character was that he was Spider-Man's best friend and Peter was his and stuff. So if the Venom symbiote finds him and the Venom symbiote isn't a person, because the spell specifically said any people that know that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are the same person are going to forget. So that ain't a person. That could still have the knowledge.
Exactly. It's got the hive mind, so it's...
Exactly. So if it's got that, it goes on to Ned Leeds, then obviously Ned knows that Peter's Spider-Man.
Ned
and all of a sudden
gets angry because that's what the symbiote does.
Yep.
And then Ned turns into rage and disappoints everybody by not being Venom.
Scream. It's like the big yellow boobs and everything.
Although Toxin.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be Toxin.
I'd like to see an MCU Toxin.
Yeah.
But I still want to see Venom.
Yeah. Well, they were setting up Toxin in the Let There Be Carnage to the point where they then weren't. So they had the... I can't remember the name of the first host for Toxin, but that cop is the main cop in there, played by Stephen Graham, and he's running around throughout the whole film and involved with like loads of the fight scenes and stuff. And and I kept thinking at any point there's going to be a bit of carnage that falls onto him as a teaser for the next movie or whatever, and it's just didn't happen.
Also, can we just point out Stephen Graham's getting fucking everywhere?
I know, yeah. And do you know what's really bizarre? He lives about 30 minutes from me. And, it's bizarre. One of my mates used to serve him in Comet, of all places, all the time. Just a little fun fact there that has no interest to people.
Spider-Man!
But yeah, so obviously there was some really cool stuff that they did with all 3 Spider-Men. There was the fact that I really appreciated how many memes they recreated in that film.
Yeah,
we got
the whole thing of one.
They did the pointing one twice. They're all in the lab, pointing at each other, saying that we're all Peter and all this.
Yeah, and then at the scaffolding.
Yeah, where they're all trying to work out who's what. So, I thought you were Peter 1. No, you're Peter 1. And so I thought that was great. We got the the clip that's used so often in like meme videos of Norman Osborn saying he's something of a scientist himself.
Yes.
We got that. We got the thing of Tobey Maguire's back, which is always used in those sorts of things. And one of the things that I really appreciated was when Endgame came out, there was video memes that came out that showed the portal opening up and Tobey Maguire and his civvies walking through and looking all confused and stuff. And we got that in this film.
This whole film was made for the audience.
Yes. And they were like, we know what you guys like.
Yeah, like they knew that this was going to rake money regardless of whether it was good or fucking shit.
Yeah.
But they was like, we got to do this for the people.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. And it is hands down my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
I know you can get stick for that by saying a new film is now your favorite of all time.
Yeah, but Endgame took that spot for me. So Infinity War took that spot. Endgame sort of tied that spot because I have to watch both of them in succession. Do you know what I mean?
They're one movie to me.
Yeah, same here. Head to head. So that they instantly sort of thought that. The Infinity War thought that straight away. Then Endgame joined that because of it being the one thing. And like you say, yeah, I can agree with this. Yeah, I can happily agree with this being the best film I've seen.
Head to head.
Yeah, head to head. That's going to be such a polarizing segment on the Team Venom comic show where when people get around to seeing that, where we just basically waffle. But
it's this in a shorter format. That's what that segment is right now.
Pretty much, yeah. And it also tells you to check this video out, so it has that for some Inception type video in.
The Venomverse.
But none of us are called Eddie. So I can't say it. But so no, I can't. One thing that I thought was really cool, like the record for opening weekend in December has been held by Star Wars and normally beaten by Star Wars. And the last 4 or 5 Star Wars films that have all opened in December have held that record of the highest grossing film for December. And Spider-Man has just shat on them all by a fucking mile. Do you know what I mean? I just think that's awesome, especially when I remember in the 90s picking up the Astonishing Spider-Man comics, which was the UK reprints, and them talking about the Spider-Man movie being in development, and then nothing happened with it. And then Marvel were facing bankruptcy, so they sold like loads of movie rights off and everything, and they gave the creators of the 90s Spider-Man animated series pretty much creative control because Marvel were facing bankruptcy, and that was more profitable than Marvel itself at the time.
Yeah.
But no studios thought that Spider-Man would be a box office sensation, and now it's the box office sensation. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire was a massive hit, and to the point where we got 3 of those things, and Sony wanted to reboot the series because of how profitable that film series was. And then the MCU stuff's been that great that we've now got it as like the highest grossing film of all time in December, and it's only been 2 weeks and it's still on at the cinemas, so that number's only going to get higher. So it's amazing.
We can keep praising it as much as we want, but you don't have to Google it and just look at the reactions it has.
The thing is, it's like most films you can always find faults with if you really try. And this, I've got one fault, and I don't even think that's a fault. I think it's just where a scene's been cut. And that's it.
I've got one thing I'd change, but I want to hear what your fault is first.
Okay. The fault I've got is you got J. Jonah Jameson outside the apartment building when Aunt May dies. And he's there reporting on it, saying there's one confirmed casualty. But you can't see that it's May when you see Jonah. You just see Spider-Man looking all distraught and everything. And being bad to hell, and he just gets shot at by one of the damage control guys that are there, which was also a nice callback to the very first Homecoming film, what with it being damage control that fucked over the Vulture. I love that little tie-in that they had there. But it's also the thing of also damage control were responding to an incident at a Stark-owned building, which again ties into that initial pre-credit scene on the first Spider-Man film. But they don't confirm that May Parker's the person that's died.
No.
And there's no sign of that. And when Ned and MJ are trying to find Peter because they don't know what's going on and they want to talk to him, they don't mention that they know that Aunt May's dead at that point. And then they pull the two Spider-Men through, which is fucking awesome how that whole plays out, to be fair. And then they go and find him because he's on the spot where he goes to clear his head like the other two Spider-Men have in their films. And they go there and everything and start chatting to him, and they're all like, we're sorry about May. Like, they all know that it's May somehow. But so I think a scene's got to have been cut slightly somewhere. I don't think it's been an intentional thing, because I don't think they would have intentionally made that mistake. I think it would have been a case of maybe the scene before it was a bit longer, where Jonah probably confirms that it's May Parker that's died, or they, for all we know, Ned could have tried a third time to get a portal opening to where Peter was and sees May's dead body or something. You know what I mean? It could be something along those lines.
I think it's an assumption thing where it's
the state of him.
Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson says, there's one casualty, and then you've got them doing it. I think it's then assumed that it will come out that the casualty was May, because he has to leave her body there.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an assumption thing of he being a scummy journalist, as they all are.
It could be just an assumption thing, yeah. Yeah, but it's also that thing of like
between the gap of them finding the Peters and then getting to the building.
They've probably been informed or something, yeah. But that's what I mean. It's like, it just seems like it's a clip. Like something's probably been cut slightly or whatever for them to go from one to the other. But because obviously my thoughts are Peter. The comic book version doesn't deal with any deaths well, even when it's villains and such. So. He could have been like that with any random person that just happened to be in the crossfire of whatever was going on in that building.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the assumption thing is also, I'm happy with it to be just an assumption thing too, to be fair, because I don't think it's, as I say, it's only nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking. That's the only like remote issue that I could find with the film, and it's not even an issue.
No. And the only thing I'd change is at the very end, when Spider-Man's swinging through and then he drops to the what's the song that's playing?
I can't remember. Shit.
There's something about the number 3.
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember the end credit scene, and I've sat through it twice.
But I just feel like when he's swinging, because then he goes up and then he drops to the camera, and that's when the credits roll.
Yeah,
that should have been Hero by Chad Kroeger.
That would have been amazing.
That should have been.
You know what would have been even more amazing? If when you saw all those people up in the sky, one of them was Chad Kroeger on the wings of an eagle.
He swipes down and gets Green Goblin.
No, he's not going anywhere. He's sat on the wings of an eagle, watching as everyone all just goes away.
MCU Easter egg confirmed. Chad Kroeger is the Watcher.
Yeah. Or the Peeper.
Oh dear.
But yeah. So I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, there's a lot that we can keep going on about in this film, to be fair. But we've been on about it for a nice chunk of time now, which is,
this is one of them. This is one of them films that we could just keep going to the point of it just being mind-numbing to listen to. Yeah,
to be fair, it's like if we start doing one of our top 10s or top 5s or whatever, and then all of a sudden we're just like, oh, let's chat about Spider-Man, and we could suddenly start talking about like the Max and Andrew. In fact, we haven't even talked about Andrew Garfield's story arc in this, which is fucking great. We almost wrapped this up, and like, no,
yeah. No, we need to talk about the.
Yeah, because Andrew Garfield's character was brilliant in this, and it was his was the logical follow up to the Amazing Spider-Man films and stuff. How he was, his whole demeanor, the fact that like when they're all in the lab and Peter's getting close to MJ, you see the heartbreak on his face. And Toby's like, "Oh, have you got someone?" And he's like, No, I can't," and all this. He mentions that he couldn't save Gwen, and he tears up when he's talking about it and how it made him darker, and he stopped pulling his punches, which again could tie into him being the one for Morbius and such, because hasn't pulled his punches, or the whole Morbius thing with the murderer poster and whatnot. It could be that version of Spider-Man, and he could be viewed as a murderer because of the death of Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
So there's that too. But anyway, I digress. We got the thing of the whole way through Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's constantly trying to talk to Electro and try to talk him out of being Electro and everything. In this, we get Max Dillon back in his human form, and Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker just happily talking to him. Even when he's not on the screen, he's like, oh yeah, Max he was like the sweetest guy and all this sort of stuff, which I thought was really brilliant, because Electro's beef was that no one ever saw him.
Yeah.
And they thought that Spider-Man had forgotten about him and all this sort of thing. And he clearly hadn't, because he's there happily chatting about him to the other Spider-Man, and then has a moment with him at the end. And most importantly, when MJ's falling and Tom Holland gets swiped away by the Goblin, Andrew Garfield makes the dive and saves her in the situation that's pretty much the same sort of thing of how Gwen died, but he made the save and saved her, and he's just in bits about it afterwards.
This time
that was awesome.
He focused on his push-off leap rather than
the web.
The web. Because
it was the jolt in Amazing Spider-Man 2, isn't it?
He got it. It was just a...
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, all over his sleeve.
Also, Electro been like, helping people? I thought you were black. There's got to be a black Spider-Man out there. Plus, in Homecoming...
I love the fact that Andrew Garfield apologizes for not being black.
I mean, look, we all do that at some point.
No, but it's just, that's what I mean. His character, because he obviously thought like highly of Max, he's just like, I'm sorry, Max. Like, Max is already depowered. He can't do shit to him now, and he's still apologizing to him because he genuinely wanted to help him.
Yeah, and then obviously in Homecoming we had Donald Glover on the phone. On the phone to Miles.
Yeah,
we're gonna get him in the MCU, man.
Oh yeah, anytime soon.
Maybe the symbiote gets Miles.
Could be.
Who knows?
Or yeah, I mean, it could be that Miles is just the symbiote Spider-Man. That could be how that goes, like you say, yeah. Or because of the whole heat of Spider-Man, we could always see the next Spider-Man film. Tom Holland's Spider-Man might not have been seen for a while because of him laying low. Although, no, I can't see that following the ending where he got the ridiculously awesome suit that he's going to want to show off.
Yeah. Plus, I don't know how they're going to do it because the spider that bits Tom Holland is dead. So unless you have...
Well, we don't know because we never saw it.
Yeah, but he said that.
Yeah. But,
it could be like Into the Spider-Verse with that, like, Tobey Maguire gets bitten and it's Andrew Garfield, same thing. And then you get into the Spider-Verse where Miles gets bitten, he just goes...
Yeah. Well, in the comics, it was that Oscorp had made a second spider.
Well, I was going to say, if they do go... I was going to say this, actually. If they go for the Oscorp, for example, they're going to have it be made in a lab. Miles being, he's the nephew of a fucking arms dealer, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you could have Miles just been living in a poor area, and then because it's Oscorp and it's one of those corporations, unleash this on one of the poor areas. No one's going to miss those. Yeah. And then that's how it happens.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
There's lots of cool ways for it to happen. I just hope we do get Miles in that universe.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely. One of the other things, Toby. We haven't talked about Toby. Pardon?
I love Toby.
He was awesome. And I mean, there's all the things like his interaction with Andrew Garfield, where they were literally Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker was hitting upon the fact that like he's viewed as the least favorite Spider-Man. He's there like going, "Oh yeah, I'm nothing compared to you two," and he's like, "No, stop it, you're amazing.
You're amazing." He's like, "Yes, he's amazing Spider-Man."
Yeah, they hammer that title home, like.
Yeah.
but I did like that. To be fair, it was good. That they were giving him the boost.
They had the good interactions, like when they found out Tobey Maguire's webs come from him. Like, does it come from anywhere else?
Andrew Garfield's face the whole way through. I was like, what? Literally just gets like really like perplexed by it, doesn't it?
Andrew Garfield and that was just like, I haven't fought an alien. I want to fight an alien. It's like, oh, you will.
And Toby Maguire's like, can we just back up to the fact that you fought an alien in space?
Yeah.
But But he was purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some good stuff. But I like Doc Ock in there when they restored his memories in it, and they replaced the chip that blew in the in the Spider-Man 2 film, and then from that point on, he was back to being the Doc Ock that Tobey Maguire's Peter absolutely loved and idolised prior to his.
And then when they meet again.
Yeah, at the end where he's like,
"My dear boy, how have you been?"
He's like,
trying to get better.
and all that. I thought that was awesome.
It's like, how have you been? And when Peter gives that line that I gave when he was, Connors tells me you're brilliant but lazy. I'm trying to get better. My dear boy, how are you? Trying to get better.
Yeah, that was awesome.
There was so much in there for the long-term fans.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that they did it that way.
I love that both characters got closure over significant moments.
Yeah.
Obviously Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man got that closure with Doc Ock anyway because he had the clarity at the end of Spider-Man 2. So that was still cool, but it was still cool that they did what they did. And Garfield had the closure of catching MJ, but we had that really awesome thing where Tom Holland's Spider-Man just was beating the absolute shit out of the Green Goblin for killing Aunt May and about to stab him with the glider, which is obviously Tobey Maguire's biggest regret. He's also made the cure because he was thinking about it a lot and all that. And just as Tom Holland's about to stab the Green Goblin with the glider, Tobey Maguire steps in and stops it and stops Green Goblin from being impaled, which is what he views as his biggest failure, which I thought was just awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like the level that they went to in those things, which could easily just be happening for the sake of happening. But then you're like, yeah, but that is his biggest failure in the Spider-Man films. He's just got his closure on that. That's fucking awesome. And you know what I mean? It's stuff like that.
Then gets stabbed himself.
And then gets stabbed, yeah.
I like that at the end when Tom Holland's saying bye to MJ and Andrew Garfield's holding Maguire up and he's like, you're in so much pain. Yes, I am.
Yeah. So I think that's probably.
I think that's a good. I think we can wrap that up there.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up. So thank you very much for watching this episode of Talking Trash with Team Venom, where we talk about Spider-Man, and also. Just want to point out how proud I am, Connor, of the fact that we were able to get this out on the day that we knew that Callista was in the cinema watching this, so we didn't have to do the podcast with her about it. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching.
It's your own fault for not wishing us a Merry Christmas.
That is true. Or watching it when it came out 2 weeks ago. So yeah, so yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and remember to like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. Don't even worry about liking, just subscribe to the channel, check out some of our other videos. Make sure you check out Connor's Games and Geekery channel as well, which once that's up and running fully, you'll be seeing links to that everywhere. And that's about it. So thank you all very much.